3, 2, 1.
This is Chargers Unleashed Podcast. Here are your hosts, Dan Wolkenstein and Jake Hefner.
Welcome to another edition of Chargers Unleashed. Jake Hefner and Dan Wolkenstein here with you from the LAFB Network. Today's show, of course, is being brought to you by UFC Fit in Temecula, Charger Bolt Family, Golden Road Brewery, Tick Pick, My Bookie. Dan, did I leave any out?
No, just Christmas cookies. That's all.
Christmas
We're also
cookies.
sponsored by Christmas cookies.
How about that? Christmas is coming, hopefully soon, for the Chargers. If you are new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at LAC_Unleashed. Also, wherever you choose to digest your weekly podcast, iTunes, Spotify, you name it, we're there. Dan Wolkenstein.
Woo! We're there.
How are you feeling today, sir? Before
I
we
feel
get
good,
into
man.
the grit of this week's matchup, Giants versus the Chargers.
Juggernaut team we're going up against here in the New York Giants, one that puts fear in the eyes of every opponent. No. Look, I think there may be a theme here in this game as we preview this, but there are some good and there are some bad for both of these teams, which leads us to the one word you'll probably hear more than anybody has said in any other show, and you'll probably hear it a bunch here. Everyone in Chargers community has said this word. 4 letters, starts with a T, ends with a P. What's that spell?
What's TP is what that spells? You asked what it
No,
spells.
trap. Trap. This is a definition of a trap game. So for those viewing, we're going to start something fun. We'll have a trap tally. Every time one of us uses the word trap, I've already used it 7 times, so let's put 7 there on the board. Mm-hmm. We will showcase it. We all know it. They know it. Everyone knows it. This is a trap game. Chargers have to come prepared. The better team. Yes, there are some questions, concerns about some people that are on injured reserve or injury or COVID. Nevertheless, Chargers should beat the Giants. Chargers have beaten the Giants, I believe, 5 straight times. Big day, big game, playoff implications. Jake, how are you feeling about this one?
You know, Dan, I feel good. I feel you ready for that word to come out of my mouth? Optimistic.
Who's this?
But it's just, you look at this and you think the Chargers should 100% roll. And this is why the questions come up of trap game, because we know right beyond this, right around the corner, short week, next Thursday, AFC West is on the line when the Chiefs come to town against the Chargers. So you can't go into this thinking past the Giants, no matter who's the quarterback is, no matter how many injuries they have offensively. You have to go in and take care of business and then get right back to work. Dan, I would love it if we could channel from a galaxy far, far away, Admiral Akbar, to just radio us down. It's a trap. It's a trap every single time that we do this. But there's a lot to digest still within all this. And it does look like, from all appearances, that Mike Glennon, not Jake Fromm, is looking like he is going to end up being the starter for this game. So for everybody hoping that it was not going to be Mike Glennon and that it was going to be Jake Fromm, who was just signed off the street the week before to the Giants roster, I don't think you're going to get your wish. But nevertheless, Dan, let's dive into it. What do you want to start with?
Well, I mean, I feel like one of the things we have to talk about is just kind of overall, right? I think we talked about this at the beginning part of 2 weeks ago, kind of just the overall landscape of these two teams. Giants have lost 4 straight to the Chargers. This would be the 5th one. Last time they won, actually, Ryan Leaf was the one who was starting for us. Did you know no Giants running back or wide receiver has scored a touchdown in the last 5 games? No running back, no wide receiver for the Giants has scored a touchdown in the last 5 games. And on the other side, Chargers defense has allowed more than 20 points in 8 straight games, which is the longest active streak in the NFL. And when we talk about this as an overview,
for disaster, right there.
That's horrible.
It sounds like it's a horrible formula for disaster for the Chargers, because it's just like, oh yeah, they haven't, their wide receivers and running backs haven't scored in 5 straight games. Watch, they're going to do it on Sunday.
Watch what's going to happen next. Yep. And then when you look at kind of the overall of the tale of two halves between the Chargers and the the Giants, I have a bunch of notes on my side, Jake, and basically I have everything kind of color coordinated of what is good and bad for both these teams. Let's just say bunch of red on the Giants, bunch of green on the Chargers. Jake, possible MVP candidate Justin Herbert now has 29 total touchdowns, 3,800 total yards, and a quarterback rating of 98.2. Austin Eckler, almost 1,200 yard scrimmages, 1,200 yards from scrimmage, and has 15 touchdowns already with 5 games left.
Oh, I know. He's on my fantasy team.
Keenan Allen needs 71 yards to pass 1,000, so might get that this week. Mike Williams has 7 touchdowns, already has over 850 yards receiving. And combined, the Chargers have 27 total receiving touchdowns. Now, remember that number, 27, okay? Let's flip it over to the Giants for a sec. Devontae Booker, Saquon Barkley, who has been out for a while for injury, both have less than 400 yards rushing. Daniel Jones, Jake, has just 17 yards less rushing than Saquon Barkley.
Good Lord.
Galladay and Kadarius Toney combined both have less than 400 yards. Combined have less than 800 yards. And them being the 2 top wide receivers on their team have a combined 0 touchdowns this year. As a team total, they have 11 total receiving touchdowns as a team. Again, for context, Chargers have 27. So, tale of two halves, Jake. Their offense, not so good. Our offense, humming quite well. Again, you mentioned this is one of those things where it's like, man, okay, maybe this is the 1 week that Chargers decide to lay an egg. Who knows? The Giants are not good, man. They're just not good.
Dan, I think that I had read somewhere where the Giants, it's been talked more about on mainstream media of how many injuries the Baltimore Ravens have basically sustained before the season even gotten started and how many players they have on injury reserve. The Giants are right up there in that neck of the woods, just as far as overall teams that they've had injuries with. But let's start with, let's talk about this for a second because we have to get this out of the way. Dan, you normally think that Chargers fans, when they're going to suffer heart conditions, as myself does on Sunday afternoons watching Charger games, you normally think like, okay, I know I'm going to have to go through that on Sundays. I won't have to worry about that any other time throughout the week. But yesterday, bullets were sweating. I think people were ready to check themselves into an emergency room. There was some nervous times going on yesterday because we had all heard earlier this week that Keenan Allen had tested positive for COVID. Thankfully for him, he was vaccinated. But then it came down until we got more information later on the day from Brandon Staley that wide receiver Mike Williams and defensive back Chris Harris were being put on the reserve COVID-19 list.
Sign the alarm.
Everybody was going nuts. I saw the tweets flying around saying, oh my God, we're going to lose to the Giants, aren't we? Josh Palmer, wide receiver 1. Jalen Guyton, wide receiver 1. It's time. Go out and get him on your waivers right now. Thankfully for the Chargers, they caught a very good break because it was deemed that both Mike Williams and Chris Harris were just deemed as close contact. So what does that mean? As long as they continue to stay negative, they still fall into the same protocol as someone who would technically be vaccinated who got it. And as long as they test negative, they can still play on Sunday. So sigh of relief from virtually the entire Chargers fan base. And we'll look to hear the updates later today from Brandon Staley as far as how that progression is going.
And so essentially, Jake, and correct me if I'm wrong, but essentially, if they keep testing negative throughout the week, they'll be playing on Sunday.
They'll be playing on Sunday.
Okay.
So there's that. So that was the uproar yesterday that we all had to deal with. There was the little mini heart attack that we had to suffer on a Wednesday afternoon, which was not pleasant, but thankfully it was only short-lived. So now that that's out of the way, Dan, let's go ahead and field this. Okay. So
How do you want to start? Do you want to do Chargers offense versus
That's what I
Giants
was
defense?
thinking of. What do I want to start with? What do I want
Or
to start?
Giants
Yeah,
offense,
you know what?
Chargers defense?
Let's go ahead and start Giants offense versus Chargers defense, because
Okay.
this is really going to be the tale of the game. Everything that you had just said as far as the Chargers being able to put up points, the offense humming, you know that they're going to be able to do this. You should be able to do this against this Giants defense. So let's see what type of an offense the Giants are going to be fielding this week against the Chargers defense, who's coming off a very, very impressive performance in what they did against Cincinnati. Dan, what do you got?
So, remember I talked to you about a lot of red for Chargers or for Giants offense.
Brick red?
This is it. Bright red. So I'm going to give you some.
How about brick red?
Yeah, brick red. Not quite Merlot, but some of them are pretty darn close. Look, I'm going to read off some of these out of, again, 32 teams in the NFL. Let's hear how the Giants offense is doing. Yards per game, they rank 26th. Yards per play, 26th. Passing yards per game, 21st. Rushing yards per game, 26th. Third down percentage, Jake, 26th at just 36%. Fourth down percentage conversion.
Defense.
I'm sorry?
I said that's good for the Chargers defense. They've struggled against certain teams against third downs this year, so that's nice.
Yep. Fourth down percentage, they're 20th, only getting 50%. Red zone touchdown percentage, Jake, dead last, 32nd. 28th in scoring and 27th in yards per drive. It's a lot of bad. The only things that are kind of not bad, 18th in total sacks allowed and 15th in sack percentage. Now, flip that, looking at the Chargers defense going up against that, right? Let's look at what the Chargers are bad at first. First downs allowed, Chargers rank 27th most with first downs. 31st, we all know, in rushing yards allowed.
But
28th in scoring percentage on drives, which I believe is like 44% of opponents' drives end in scoring. And missed tackles, Jake. We're not number 32, but we are number 31 out of 32 teams in missed tackles.
We're moving up
with 93.
Ugh.
And points per game allowed, we're 28th. They're 28th in scoring. We're 28th in points allowed. We're at 26.3 yards. Whew. And Jake, just to put that in context of how crappy 26.3 yards per game allowed is, the teams that are right there around us in that or worse are teams like the Texans, the Jets, the Jags, the Lions, the Falcons. That's where our defense is in points per game allowed. And the one that I think is the most concerning for me is third down percentage allowed. And we are ranked 31st, giving up 49% third down conversion as a defense. Now, luckily, we're going up against a bad offense. But if we can't get off the field on third down, that's not good. Luckily, we are ranked second in the NFL in defensive fourth down percentages. But still, we got to stop them, got to get off the field. This is an offense. This is kind of look, this is a get-right game for this defense. No way about it, but are they going to do it? I don't know.
Oh, boy. So that's a lot to ingest, obviously.
A lot of numbers. A lot of numbers.
So let's move from that, Dan, since we're talking about the Giants offense here first. Let's go over the injury report as far as what the latest is for that. So we haven't gotten today's. It's probably should get it in a matter of an hour or so. But hang on, where is it here? Just had it a second ago. What I do know is Mike Glennon is still technically deemed in concussion protocol, although he is trending in the right direction to play. Saquon Barkley was added to the injury report yesterday. I believe it was with a ankle injury that he had for that. Their entire wide receiving core is on this list. So it's their injury report is essentially fielding most of their skill players on offense. Kenny Golladay, Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram, whatever you want to add to it. It sounds like Kenny Golladay, out of all of their receivers, has the least chance to play this week. I'm sorry, not Kenny Golladay. I was thinking of Kadarius Toney. Excuse me. That was the wide receiver that I was missing. So you're dealing with a very, very hampered New York Giants offense. So what do? Well, you can obviously build off of your defensive performance against the Cincinnati Bengals that you had last week. You could take a lot of what the Miami Dolphins did to the New York Giants last week. Although defensive-wise, they play a little bit more man coverage. I still don't think that Brandon Staley's going to do that. I don't think they can afford to do that, especially with Asante Samuel being out. That's just not his MO for what he runs. So how are you going to do this? Well, if your pass rush decides to show up the way that it did last week, 27 total pressures, very impressive from a Chargers defense that was without Justin Jones for part of the game, without Joey Bosa for most of the game, without Linval Joseph for this game. So who stepped up? Well, unfortunately, we also heard yesterday that Kyler Fackrell. What was the injury again, Dan? I can't remember exactly.
He had like a minor surgery.
It was a cleanup to his knee. And it looks like he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. So he's unfortunately not going to be available for this game. So where does that leave us? So that means elevated snaps for Chris Rump. Sounds like Joey Bosa, because he missed having a concussion, and they were keeping him out for the game for more of a precautionary type of reason. He's going to be back. And in Uchenna Nwosu, Dan, I'm not sure if you know this. Here's a stat for you. You know that he ranks 8th in ESPN's pass rush win rate with 24%?
No. That's
actually in the same company of conversation around Max Crosby and Nick Bosa.
We'll take that.
I was actually shocked to hear that, because I remember us talking earlier on in the season about someone needs to step up opposite Joey Bosa, and Uchenna Nwosu needs to do this.
He has the second most pressures on the team.
Right. So he hasn't won as many times as Joey Bosa has obviously gotten to the quarterback. But in terms of pressure rate, yeah, you're definitely going to need to get that. You're going to need to get creative, as Ronaldo Hill did late in this game. I'd like to see that early on in the game. Get creative with some of your blitz packages and who you're bringing. Get Derwin James involved in the blitz early. Loved what I saw on the blitz with him and Nasir Adderley coming after Joe Burrow last week. Get creative. Get Mike Glennon off the stick early. You're going to want to force – you're still going to want to force the Chargers to have force the Giants to have Mike Glennon win this game for them. Don't allow Saquon Barkley to get free. Lock up your run defense early, even though you're susceptible as far as yards per carry. It's a terrible stat that the Chargers field for a rush defense. But, Dan, this is what Mike Glennon put up last week. 23 of 44 for 187 yards and 1 interception. Was sacked 3 times. I think that that's something that the Chargers can replicate as far as yielding production.
And to kind of talk through that, so the Chargers, for first downs allowed as a team on defense, they rank 27th, right? Yeah, but just to double click on that, they rank 8th fewest against the pass. Chargers give up the 8th fewest first downs per game to the pass. But as we know, Jake, they are dead last in rushing first downs allowed. So if they can keep that momentum, like I think this is one of those where the pass stats are probably going to get better. In theory, the rushing stats for this defense should be getting better on this as well. But again, like this team plays into the hands of what the Chargers' strengths and weaknesses are. Although in theory, the Giants aren't really good at passing or running, if we're being honest. So look, it's an important one. The Chargers defense, I think, should be up for this one. One of the things that I think is important for a game like this, when you can have guys like Kadarius Toney and Golladay, Jake, the Chargers give up the 5th fewest yards after the catch in the entire NFL, which I find pretty remarkable, considering they're almost dead last in missed tackles. 5th fewest yards after the catch, but they still have 31st worst, or second worst, missed tackle. So they're not giving up many kind of explosive plays after the catch, which I'll take. So just being blunt here for a sec, Jake. Where is the path for the Giants.
To
Giants.
win?
No. I mean, not even that. But if we're just talking about the Giants offense versus the Chargers defense, what is the path for a Giants offense to succeed in this game?
They have to win this game in the trenches because that's going to control everything else for them. If the Chargers are not able to get to Mike Glennon, if they can allow him to just pick apart the middle of the field, I don't expect anything explosive from Mike Glennon, but he'll just take what's open. So players like Evan Ingram could be in line for a big game with him if he's able to get free. Sterling Shepard, Kenny Golladay. You don't want to allow these guys to get free. You don't want to allow their offense to be versatile. You want the focal point of it, and that you expect of it is to go through Saquon Barkley. Now, if you could take away him, if your front defensive line can beat their offensive line, limit to what Saquon Barkley does. Best way to do that also is jumping out to a 24-point lead. PS.
That'd be nice.
But if your defense can do that, essentially limit the running game, get pressure on Mike Glennon, this should be a walk in the park, considering what you've seen other teams do against them. They've gone through their own coaching tribulations. I think there's just a lot going on in that locker room off the field that is just unfortunately not there for them. So this is a team that is going in a much opposite direction than the Chargers are currently right now. So play your style of football, as the Chargers like to say every week, our way on 3. Mm-hmm. Play your style of football, know your assignments. Do not have this turn into a game of broken tackles, of untimed mistakes. Play good, solid, disciplined defensive football, and you should be able to win this battle, no question.
Okay, well, now that we've gone through that, let's flip it over. Let's talk about the Chargers offense versus the Giants defense. This is where I think we're going to see, Jake, some feasting. I know Thanksgiving is over. The holiday season is still upon us. Lots of eating to be had. Probably going to be more had this coming Sunday against New York. Would you agree?
I would hope. Unfortunately, there is no absolutes that I will ever quote with this team, Dan.
Nope.
Tiny little nugget of news that actually was just broken by Ian Rappaport. There's been another COVID case for the Chargers that just came down. And this is a positive test. It's Scott Quessenberry, the center of the Chargers, has tested positive for COVID. So did I make your heart stop for a second there?
Yes. For the center for the Chargers, I'm like, you do not do this to me. Jeez. Sorry. Way to keep me on my toes. I appreciate that.
Little nugget that came through here in the last minute or so.
Okay.
And now that we're talking about the offensive side, I thought I would keep it honest.
No, that's fair. I appreciate it. All right, so looking at the Giants defense for a sec, okay? Bad numbers. Total yards allowed, they rank 24th. First downs allowed, 26th. And it's pretty even. 30th versus the pass, 20th versus the run in first downs, so they can be had either way. 25th in rushing yards allowed, which you would think there'd be a running back by committee potential happening here for the Chargers this week. 25th in hurry percentages. They're not really getting to the quarterback, although they are 13th most blitzing team in the NFL, which kind of seems a little crazy. They blitz the 13th most, however, 25th in hurries and 31st in pressures, which is not good. QB hits, they're ranked 30th. They don't get to the quarterback. They're terrible on fourth down. I think they give up like 67%. But there's a couple things that they do well. One, third down conversion, they rank 13th. Not bad. Giving up 39%. And then missed tackles, surprisingly, they rank 8th fewest with 72. So generally speaking, kind of bad all around for the Giants defense. Then flipping it over, I mean, Giants defense really got like two guys. Like, I feel like they got, like, you've got Leonard Williams, Azeez Ojulari. Azeez actually having a pretty good year.
Yes, he is.
As a rookie. I think he has 8 quarterback hits, and I want to say he leads the team in tackles for loss as well. 3 guys. And then Xavier McKinney leads the team with 5 interceptions. Like, those are the 3 guys, in my opinion, you have to look out for. And that's kind of it. And then when you look at kind of all that bad for the Giants, going to the Chargers, I mean, it is all cooking with gas all day. These are all the numbers, Jake, that are top 10. I didn't even find all of them. I just picked some that I thought were important. Yards per game, yards per play, passing yards per game, sack percentage allowed, third down conversion, fourth down conversion, red zone touchdown percentage, scoring, and yards per drive. They rank top 10 in every single one of those. Second yards per drive, fifth and third down percentage, ninth fewest sacks allowed on offense. Hallelujah. Fourth in yards per play, and seventh in yards per game. That sounds good. That makes me feel like nice and warm and cozy inside.
How about this, Dan? James Bradbury has allowed 8 touchdown receptions, which is the most in the NFL. He's having a down season, which last season he only allowed 3. And Will Hernandez, I'm sorry, I'm just flipping back over to the Giants offense there for a second. I was going to say for Azeez Ojulari, I think he's at 6 sacks currently right now, but he's on pace to actually break the franchise record for the Giants defensive rookie in their first single season on sacks if he can keep pace. So yeah, he's having a very good season. But as you had mentioned, there's a lot of bad things going on there. It sounds like stats that I would have heard from the Chargers defense 1 year ago.
Yes.
That's what it kind of sounds like to me.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not the blitz percentage, because we know what that was last year. Thankfully, that has dramatically improved upon last year's outing. But yeah, this is rough for them. Okay. So Dan, I'll flip it to you. How do you attack this vaunted Giants defense?
Flip a coin. Put your finger to the wind, figure out which one you want. They can be had either way. I'm being honest.
And you're not wrong.
I think Justin Herbert can throw it. Justin Eckler, Justin Jackson can go crazy. Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen, is he officially out?
I don't think any player has officially been deemed out for the Chargers.
Okay. I think
we're still waiting on the updates of all 3 of their COVID tests, but no player has been deemed out.
Wide receivers, tight ends, running back, quarterback, all of them should be doing just fine. The only one I'm really worried about is Azeez Ojulari on the defensive end side for the Giants. I don't see that being an issue.
Well, he's going to be on Storm Norton's side all day. You know that.
Yep. Yeah, he's not going anywhere near Rashawn Slater. We can probably guarantee that. I mean, they can kind of pick what they want to do. If the Chargers don't score 30 on the Giants, that's a problem.
Maybe that's the thing that we should have the biggest gripe about. Not just that the Chargers obviously need to win. It'll hit DEFCON 4 if they lose, but still, you got to think, yes, a win is a win is a win is a win. But if you come out sloppy in this game, there should be no reason you don't hang a 30 bomb on this team. No question about it. Dan, let's take a little break. Let's pay the bills, as you like to say, because we have to do a shout out to one of our sponsors, of course. Shouting out today, of course, our wonderful sponsor, MyBookie. If you are like me, who loves UFC fights, this is a fantastic week to lay some coin on it. Not 1, but 2 title fights. UFC 269. Charles Oliveira going up against Dustin Poirier, and Amanda Nunes going up against Julia Pena. It's going to be one hell of a wild card this week.
Amanda Nunes.
It's a great one to close out 2021, no question. I'm sure a lot of eyes are going to be on it. Make sure you go to mybookie.ag, use the promo code LAFB to place your wagers. Thank me now. Thank me later. Whatever you want to do. Much later. Just don't follow what I'm going to be doing on my bets. That's the one thing I'll say.
Well,
then,
make your own. What's your second bet? Amanda Nunes. What's that fight? What are you betting that one?
I saw a tweet the other day from someone who said, Julia Pena looks in phenomenal shape. They had just saw her. It says, she looks in phenomenal shape. But Amanda Nunes is going to put her ass on the floor within the first minute of the first round. So I haven't seen the updated odds yet. All I can assume is that Amanda Nunes is through the roof. So unless you're a big dime better, you're probably not going to make a lot of money betting on Amanda Nunes. So it just may not be worth it. If you want to make bets on a shocking upset, then by all means, put everything you got on Julia Pena. But
this might be it.
I wouldn't be so optimistic about it.
So we've talked about the offense and defense, Jake. I think we have to talk about special teams for a sec. And for once, there is like a glimmer of good news for the Chargers when it comes to special teams. Jake, Chargers are not last in yards per kick return or punt return.
Unbelievable.
They rank 24th in yards per kick return, 27th in yards per punt return. And hallelujah, thank the heavens for Andre Roberts. Jake, Andre Roberts is currently averaging 25 yards per return on kickoffs. Before him, the rest of the team, every single one of them, were averaging just 16 yards per return. That's like one first down better per return for Andre Roberts.
Dan, I was shocked last week because I had the Bengals game on. And, I get the tweet. Chargers are going to start with the ball first. Like, no big deal. I'm just messing around in my kitchen. I see the kickoff go. And I go to my refrigerator and I do something else. And the next thing I hear is the sound going like of a mixed roar. I can't tell if it's the Chargers fans or if it's the Bengals fans saying like, what the hell? And I turn around and all of a sudden I see Andre Roberts is going out of bounds around the 40-yard line. And I'm like, what the hell is this?
I've never seen this before.
These are few and far between things that happen to the LA Chargers. That is for sure. So yeah, there has definitely been a shot of adrenaline in the arm from a return standpoint with Andre Roberts coming to this lineup. It may not be the biggest name type of a pick before the trade deadline, but for a waiver wire pickup, this has been extremely beneficial to the Chargers.
Huge. Now it's not all roses. Chargers have missed 7 extra points and ranked 30th in extra point percentage at 78.1%, which is not good. That sucks. But Jake, the Chargers are 9th best in field goal percentage right now. Like 9th best in field goal percentage. What? 88.2%. Thank you. Come again. I will take that all day, every day. So we might be missing some extra points, which I know people are upset about, but they're making the ones that count for 3. And that counts for a lot more. So, the Giants special teams is kind of meh. They're 18th in yards per kick return, 23rd in punt return. They haven't missed an extra point yet. So maybe we can have that, whatever dumb luck there is, and you can mention it, and therefore now they'll miss one. But extra point, special teams is not really a story in this one, other than if, potentially maybe Andre Roberts goes off. So I probably would just take chalk with special teams. I wouldn't think of anything too crazy.
Dan, how do you build on, because I think that's something that gets lost in the shuffle of the game last week against the Bengals, because the Chargers, kind of under the radar, had a fantastic special teams performance against the Bengals.
Best I have seen in like years.
A long time. Yeah, not just 2021, in years. So how do you build on that? Because now you got your guy, Chris Rump, players like Nick Neiman. Finish the last name for me because I always butcher his last name.
Amen Abongamiga.
Yeah, see. They were
Drew
crucial.
Tranquil. Like there's been a lot of guys that are contributing to the special teams unit. And like I think it's a new coaching scheme. Everything's new. And you heard from the beginning of the season them talk about like attention to detail. And I think like that's what helped execute this past weekend's success was their attention to detail and execution. Like, I think I saw that they added a new punt coverage or punt blocking when they are trying to stop the other team from blocking a punt. They have a blocking scheme that is new that has one more person up in the middle to make sure nothing comes up. They're trying new things. Their punt coverage has actually been very good, which I'll take. And then kick return, honestly, their coverage has been good there too. Our touchbacks have been good. I think it's just like attention to the little things. And as you get more and more time, as these players play more, I think you're starting to see more and more of like a fingerprint, handprint on these players. We talk about a lot, like, the execution on all sides of the ball. But I think we're finally allowing this team to potentially get the most out of it because of the coaching scheme. And so this last week against the Bengals, that was the best and most explosive looking defense I have seen from a Chargers team in years. And that's without arguably your first or second best defensive player on the field. And so fast forward to Sunday. Okay. Quick plug here. We're also sponsored by TickPick. For folks who have not gone to a Chargers game, or because of COVID, you've been stuck at home, haven't been able to do anything, you vaxxed or maybe not vaxxed, you have everything all done with, you haven't tested positive, so you're good. Go to TickPick, use the code, or go to tickpick.com/unleashed. You can get tickets cheaper than anywhere else. Don't have to worry about fees and anything like that. Especially for this Chargers game. I want to say this is arguably the cheapest game you can go to for the rest of the year. Go to a game at SoFi, support the Chargers, have some fun. Go to tickpick.com/unleashed and get it at the cheapest price you can find. Jake, we should have a pretty good home field advantage on this one. So before we go into like the bold and game predictions and things like that, what is the one thing the Chargers cannot do in this game? If there was one thing, I know there's a bunch of ways the Chargers can lose this game, but what is like the one DEFCON 10 thing the Chargers cannot do?
Well, hang on one second, Dan, because I'm trying to just confirm. I love these little afternoon reports that just so happen to trickle in right in the middle of when we're doing a live pod. And this is according to our friends at Guilty as Charged, who was watching the Austin Eckler podcast. Not an official report, but apparently Austin Eckler says that Keenan Allen is not going to be playing this week. So there is that.
Okay, we're down one receiver.
So
we'll see. I don't know.
Aaron Guyton, wide receiver.
I literally picked him up earlier today for my fantasy team.
Aha. See, someone who's already been working the waiver wires. Okay. So,
yep.
All right. So to me, this sounds like what's the one thing that you obviously can't do is what you had said, Dan. You have to get out to a fast start again, because the best thing that Mike Glennon is going to be able to rely on in order to make a dent in your team, to follow the offensive schemes that the Denver Broncos did, that previous teams have done this year as well, is run the ball, control the clock, keep Justin Herbert and the rest of the offense off the field. And so if you can stop and limit Saquon Barkley, from a defensive standpoint, obviously, being able to break through, not allowing him to get free, take that away from the Giants' offense. And in addition to that, offensively, when you have the ball, put 7 in the end zone and build up a quick and sizable lead on this Giants team that forces Mike Glennon to throw. This is an easy equation from both sides of the football in order to win.
Damn it. This is a trap game of all trap games.
It's a trap!
I got to update the tally. That was 3 more.
Give me Admiral Akbar, please, to just tell me in 2 seconds that it's a trap.
Chart 16 now. Great. The Chargers know how important this game is. The Chargers know what is at stake coming up on Thursday afterwards. They cannot afford to lose this game. Like this is one of those games where previous Chargers would lose this game. And this is where like the Chargers have an opportunity to kind of separate themselves, get away from the 500 win column, get yourself to 8-5, give yourself the opportunity where you only need to go like 2-2 the rest of the season to probably arguably get a playoff berth. You have to win this game. You cannot rely on yourself to go beat Kansas City, Denver, and Las Vegas.
No.
You just can't. So if they don't come out guns blazing, hair on fire, like I think you saw Brandon Staley lose a gasket last weekend. Watch Brandon Staley this week. Because he knows. Like this team knows what's at stake. This is winning time. This is December. I've heard like Herb-sember. I've heard all kinds of different random names. December Herbert. Like, there's all kinds of different things that I've heard.
Keep working on the names.
Hey, they're not my names. I'm just repeating them.
I know. I'm just saying in general. Keep working on the names.
The Chargers have to win. This is a must-win game. Like, it's not literally a must-win game, but in terms of, like, you cannot freaking lose to the Giants. You just can't. You can't. At home. This would be the worst loss of the season by far if they find some way to lose this game. Not even close.
Dan, you were talking earlier this week as far as toward the tail end of the podcast, we had started looking at the last final 5 games of the season that they have and where the Chargers are at. Obviously 7-5 right now, 5th seed in the AFC West Conference in the heat of a playoff run.
We're talking about playoffs right now.
You can't afford to drop games against the Giants and the Texans that you have remaining on your schedule.
Nope.
2 easy, should be easy, very winnable games outside of 3 divisional games that you have to contend with. And from what you've already seen, you know it's going to be tough against the Chiefs. Don't think about the narrative that Patrick Mahomes is still struggling.
You've already beat him once.
I understand that.
No, but I'm saying, like, do you really think you're going to beat him twice? Like, the chances of that are pretty slim.
Yes. And against the Chargers, he's probably going to find some of his mojo. Okay, so let's just be honest. You're not going to get a similar performance the way that you just saw him play against Denver, where he didn't throw a passing touchdown and it's very, very low scoring and an uneventful game. That's not going to happen when they play the Chargers next Thursday. Denver, you got to get that one back, obviously. Mm-hmm. They're going to still be creative in their defensive schemes. Very familiarity as far as the coaching goes on both sides. You should beat Denver. You should not allow 2 quarterbacks collectively to throw only 15 passes against you and win. A lot of mental mistakes that you need to get back in that game. And then to end the season,
that's going to be a fun one.
You know that Raider Nation is going to want to play spoiler to the Chargers' playoff hopes.
I've heard rumblings that there's going to be quite the contingency of Chargers fans going to that game.
Yeah. So your divisional games are not going to be any cakewalk by any means. Screw the record. Don't even look at the record. Okay. Just look at how they play against the Chargers and how they've played this year. So you can't afford to drop these type of games against the Giants and the Houston Texans.
Playoff teams do not lose these kinds of games. Period.
That's right.
Like, you cannot lose this game and tell me that your team is ready for the playoffs. I'm sorry. I have like mental errors thinking about like how I'm going to react if the Chargers lose this game because
Dan, hey, you've seen me angry before when it's come to certain Chargers losses and them just mentally collapsing. It's happened already this year. But when you're now in the brink and the fact that you've also gotten the help of the rest of the AFC conference that still doesn't really know what it wants to be yet, since you've got help from Baltimore and Buffalo and obviously overcoming Cincinnati, which was a huge win in the bigger picture of things, you're positioned great. And you have a chance to take over the AFC West division and once again be in first place next Thursday if you can handle business on Sunday, which you should do.
One last thing before we get into the bold and game predictions. We are also sponsored by Charger Bolt Family, who has an epic community. They have a great tailgate over at Thunder Alley every weekend that they're at home. They have a huge following and group on Facebook you can go to. Check them out, Charger Bolt Family. They have all kinds of signings and giveaways and raffles and things. I think they have Joshua Kelly, Dan Fouts, Sean Merriman, our good buddy Denzel Perryman, even though he's not wearing our team jersey anymore. They're having signings for all 4 of them. Again, Josh Kelly, Dan Fouts, Sean Merriman, and Denzel Perryman, all happening early 2022. Get your information from Ken and Mary over at Charger Bolt Family. Tell them Chargers Unleashed sent you. Awesome community. Super fun. They also have a lot of, I think I mentioned giveaways, but every Monday they do giveaways on their Facebook group family. So check them out. You won't miss it. Are you ready, Jake?
Oh, I'm ready. This is going to be simple.
Bold and game predictions. Go.
Bold and game predictions. Who gives a shit? I don't give a shit. I don't need to say bold prediction this, game prediction that. There is no reason at all. None. Zero. Zilch. Niente. Nine. Zero reason that the Chargers should lose this game. That's what I got.
Okay, so you're predicting a win.
Yes. Simple as that, but I don't need to get into the whole hubbub about it. Because
Okay.
whatever.
Fair enough. Yes, Chargers are going to win this one. I'm going to go 31-13. Please give us just a normal, easy victory. Like, we haven't had one this entire season. This would be the one to do it. Bold prediction. Watch Justin go over 400 yards. Even without Keenan Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Watch it happen. I think it's going to wrap things up. We've talked about offense, defensive matchups, talked about bold predictions, at least mine. We've talked about who we think is going to actually win this game. Both of us think the Chargers should win. We talked about how we're going to feel if they don't win and how important this game is to the Chargers playoffs and honestly to the Bolt fam. Get us to 8-5. This place is about to be somewhere we haven't been or seen or felt in a long time. I am more excited right now, Jake, about this 7-5 team than I was when the Chargers were, I think it was 2018, when they went in, 13 and I think it was 12-4.
Yeah, finished with a great record.
I'm more excited about this team than that team. What are you?
Well,
which team is better between this one and that one?
Oh, Dan, come on.
No, seriously. No, which one of those teams, if they played each other, which one of those teams are you taking?
Yeah, I'll obviously take this year's team.
Thank you. Okay, great.
Just saying, there's certain guys from that year, the team that I wish that we would still have.
Yes, I would agree.
So that's my only retract from it. But yes, I'll agree with you. This team versus 2018, yeah, I'm with you.
Cool. All right, so big matchup, Chargers-Giants, 1 o'clock, Sunday. Again, if you have not gotten tickets to this game, check out TickPick. You can get cheapest tickets for this game, no fees. Go to tickpick.com/unleashed and get your tickets today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Chargers Unleashed. We will talk to you next time, hopefully after a Chargers victory. And then next stop, it is all things prime time against the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll talk soon. Have a great weekend and go Bolts.